Hello everyone, myself Prashant. Hope you all are doing great. Today we will discuss Article 21 of India's Constitution, and it comes under obviously fundamental rights, and fundamental rights comes under Part 3 of India's Constitution. So let's begin and discuss all the important aspect of Article 21. So, Article 21 says or talks about protection of life and personal liberty. Very, very important. So, Article 21 is all about protection of our life and personal liberty. Now, we will see the evolution of Article 21 through various cases and the Supreme Court's judgment on it. The Gopalan case, very important case, a landmark case. A Gopalan case of 1950. So, in this case, Supreme Court gave a very narrow interpretation of Article 21. You should know, Gopalan case 1950 gave narrow interpretation. And what does this interpretation included? So it included that Article 21 is only against executive order, not legislative action. Very, very, very important. So in Gopalan case 1955, Supreme Court judgment said that Article 21 is only against executive order, not against the law which is passed by parliament or the legislative parliament only. So it is not against, Article 21 is not against the legislative action, it's only against executive order, right? So very, very important, you should know. Then the other interpretation in Gopalan case of Supreme Court was that Article 21 is about personal liberty, and personal liberty means only liberty relating to person, his or her body. So you can see the statement in itself indicates the narrow interpretation. So how can a personal liberty be only relating to persons, his or her body? So these two interpretation is a narrow interpretation of Supreme Court, and this interpretation came in year 1950 by Supreme Court. Now we will see the next interpretation of Supreme Court in next case. So another landmark case, but before that there is an important aspect in the judgment which came by Supreme Court in Gopalan case, is that here procedure established by law was seen, right? So Supreme Court's judgment was in accordance with the procedure which was established by law, right? So that is why Gopalan case and the Supreme Court's judgment nature was about procedure established by law. In accordance with the law, the judgment of Supreme Court came. Now we'll see the next landmark case, right? Here we can see just the opposite interpretation, that is the wider interpretation of Supreme Court on Article 21. So Article 21 here in Menaka case 1978, Supreme Court gave a wider interpretation. So we saw in Gopalan case narrow interpretation, very, very important. So in Gopalan case narrow interpretation, but here we are seeing in Menaka case 1978 wider interpretation. Why wider interpretation? We will know. So Article 21 is against executive as well as legislative action. Very very important. So in Gopalan case, we saw that legislative action was not there, right? Article 21 was against only executive action, but here in Menka case, Supreme Court said that legislative action will also be included in Article 21. So Article 21 is against executive as well as legislative action, the law passed by Parliament. Then then the next interpretation by Supreme Court in this case was about personal liberty means liberty relating to person, his or her body. So obviously this was there in Gopalan case also, but here Supreme Court also added that Article 21 also means to live with human dignity. Very very important. So human dignity is something which includes various aspects, right? Various aspects of human life. So here you can clearly see the interpretation of Article 21 is getting wider by Supreme Court. And now here again there is an important aspect which got highlighted through this Minka case of 1978 was that here due process of law applied. What does this due process of law means? Earlier we saw in Gopalan case process procedure established by law. Here we are seeing due process of law. So due process of law means that as the we can say as the judiciary progresses, or as the law progresses, as the time passes, so in accordance with the need of the time, in accordance with the dynamism, due process of law is followed. So Supreme Court in 1978 observed that Article 21 should not be only limited to executive order, or should not be only limited to person's, his or her body. Human dignity should also be there. So the dynamism which is followed by the law, that is what we say a due process of law, right? So here a due process of law was applied by Supreme Court in Menka case of 1978. Now after this Menka case of 1978, the Article 21 the Article 21 uh, interpretation only increased, right? It started including various elements. The wider interpretation kept on increasing only by Supreme Court in various Supreme Court's judgment. And again this is the way the various other things which were included in Article 21. We are seeing that right to live with dignity, a right to decent environment including pollution free water and air, protection against hazardous industries, then a right to shelter, various rights for prisoners, various rights for accused in a case. So all these are under the definition of Article 21. And this right to live with dignity, we saw it came with 1978 judgment of Supreme Court in Menka case. Then later on in another case, right to decent environment was included under the definition of Article 21. Then in various other case, right to shelter was also included in the definition of Article 21 by Supreme Court, by Supreme Court's judgment. Then Supreme Court at various point of time in various cases has highlighted, has brought about various rights for prisoners, right? Different rights for prisoners in different cases. So all those rights clubbed together are under definition of Article 21. Then again various rights for accused, uh, uh, various rights came at different point of time in different cases by Supreme Court. So those rights for accused are also under the definition of Article 21, right? Now the process here followed. You are seeing that dynamism is being seen. The interpretation of Article 21 is only increasing, right? So this is also a due process of law, right? It's due process of law, not procedure established by law. It's due process of law, very important. And due process of law started from Menka case of 1978. We discussed that uh, just a few minutes ago. So this is it, and you should know all these rights, since in exams questions are asked, right? That right to live with dignity, right to decent environment, right to shelter, various rights for prisoners, then all of the above. So you have to pick the option all of the above, since all these rights are under the definition of Article 21, which is a right to personal liberty, right, and to live with human dignity. Then there was this amendment to Article 21, and the sub clause was seen in Article 21. Article 21 sub clause A, and it states about compulsory elementary education to children between 6 to 14 years of age, right? So uh, it became compulsory, and this thing was added in Article 21 through 86th Constitutional Amendment Act. Very important. Constitutional Act Amendment Act of 2002. Now this 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 also brought changes to Directive Principle of State Policy, that is DPSP, and fundamental duties as well. So 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 brought changes to which parts of Indian Constitution? So it brought changes to Part 3 of India's Constitution, that is fundamental rights. Very important. Questions have been asked multiple times in exams. Fundamental rights. Then part 4, that is Directive Principle of State Policy, DPSP. Then this 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 also brought changes to fundamental duties. Fundamental duties comes under which part? So it comes under Part 4A. Very important. That is Article Part 4A, fundamental duties. And what is the article? Article is 51A. Article 51A. So all the fundamental duties are included in this article. So I guess I have covered all the necessary points with respect to this Article 21 of India's Constitution. And next we will be coming up with Article 22, Article 23, and ultimately we will cover all the articles of fundamental rights. So thank you for your time. Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed and learned something from this video. So thank you again.